Hello? Companies don't just use the doorbell to sell, they reach for the phone too. To avoid unsolicited calls, sign up for free to the telephone preference service. It takes a month to set up, but then it'll be illegal for UK companies to pester you with marketing or sales calls. Sadly, there's nothing more they can do to stop the calls that drive us even more crazy. The silent ones.
I started getting the calls at the end of May. I was getting approximately 3 to 4 a day. When I did answer the call, I actually answered with hello, and there was nobody there. It was just silent. I did go away at the beginning of June. We went away for 10 days, and when I came back, there were 30 to 40 calls recorded on my telephone from the same number.
So why does this happen? Well, many companies use a system that automatically generates telephone numbers. When someone answers, an agent should take the call, but sometimes the agent's too busy. The result? Silence. After being plagued by nuisance calls for a week, Sue traced the number on the internet. It belonged to British Gas.
Towards the end of June, the phone rang yet again. I did answer it, and lo and behold, there was a voice that said, "Is that Mrs. Savage?" I said, "Look, I do not want anything from British Gas. I'm not asked to be telephoned, so can you please stop ringing me?"
BT, who has its own nuisance call advice line, is another culprit. Good to talk? Not when they were calling Joe Stanton.
It's been constant phone calls, and at least one phone call every day. I find these calls just a real annoyance, a complete pest. Definitely an intrusion into our family life.
Since Joe contacted Watchdog, BT have apologised and removed her details from their calling list. Of course, silent calls are annoying, but for some people they can be extremely distressing, which is one reason the regulator Ofcom has just been given new powers to fine companies who abuse people by silent calling up to £2 million. Yes, the penalty's big, but so is the upset these calls cause. If you're getting them, note the number, call them back and tell them to stop. Under Ofcom rules, they need to provide you a low-cost phone number to do this. And while Ofcom can't look into individual complaints, do let them know what's happened. Because if the company's doing the same to others, this could trigger an investigation. And the prospect of a hefty fine should make them think again before pestering you at home when they've nothing to say.
Martin, money-saving expert, is here. Can we just start by reminding people, if they don't want uninvited calls? Telephone
preference service, tpsonline.org.uk, and I hope the number will be appearing somewhere there and on the Watchdog website. It is a criminal offence if companies then call you once you're on that. Unfortunately, it won't stop overseas callers and it won't stop auto-dial callers. If you get one of those from a competition call and it's calling you up for an auto-generated competition, go to Phone Pay Plus, which is the premium rate regulator.
OK, and if we move on to silent calls, because companies can now be fined up to £2 million. What happens if you can't trace a number?
Well, I find that very frustrating, and I think the regulator needs to come down. If I were them, I'd come down a lot harder on these companies. One strike and you're out. If they block the number and you do silent calls, you should never be allowed to do this. Unfortunately, the problem is detecting them. If it does happen to you, note down the time and then call up your provider. Will often have a nuisance call alert service, as BT did, even though it was making silent calls, and they should be able to trace it, but they can't always, and there is a hole in the regulations, if you ask me.
Yeah, OK.